Okay guys, hi, welcome back to my video. I'm Scribs. Welcome back to another video. I'm Scribs. I'm gonna be talking to you guys today about eyes. Last video, you guys were telling me that the most difficult facial feature for you to draw is not noses, like how it is for me, even though I think mouths are also hard. It is actually eyes. So I'm gonna be taking you through quick anatomy tips to really improve your eye drawing. I won't be going like completely from the basics. I'll do a quick overview, but I will be using myself as a reference to make the points of what I'm saying. I don't typically think that you need to learn a lot of anatomy or anything to know about how to draw certain things, but I'm going to be mentioning some things here. So before I get into that, I'm going to be talking about the basic anatomy of an eye. For me, there's 3 parts, right? And then the details come in. So the 3 parts are the upper lid, the pupil, the lower lid, right? I mean the upper lid, the iris, and then the lower lid. And then from there, you have the iris. I meant the pupil, sorry. Then you have like the crease and then other creases. You also have the eyelashes that you can do, right? All depending on what you want. But basically, these details, this isn't even how I draw eyes. How I draw eyes, actually, stylistically, is usually I draw the iris really close. I don't draw the pupil. I draw whatever lower lid I want. And then I mainly just thicken up the upper lid with something like that, you know? Some lashes. I'm not like the best at drawing lashes, but I don't always want to do a lot of them anyway, so I don't mind. Something like that. That's more how I would draw an eye. But yeah, these are the basic parts. I'm sure you know how to draw these. Now the hard part is like symmetry, placement. Something might look off, right? So I'm gonna show you how to combat those things. So the first thing is where you're placing your eyes. Your eyes are going to be, usually people say your eye is separated by like the width of one eye. So like this, for example, is like about how much my eyes are separated, about how much the average person's eyes are separated, right? That same width can be measured by your nose or your mouth. Those, like somebody's nose is different on everybody's face. Everybody's nose is different, right? And everybody's mouth is different. So the eye measurement, I feel like, is a little bit more accurate, but I would place it between, these points. You see how my eye you see how my eyes kind of finish before my mouth and before my nose. I meant start before my mouth finishes and before my nose finishes. Yeah, so it's just a little guidance. I just use that as a landmarker. It's okay if it like goes a little bit outside of those bounds. It's really just about those basic markers, right? So that's where I'd start. If you don't get what I'm saying, I'm going to show you now with an example. I have 3 faces here. I have their noses, I have their mouths, and then where do I place their eyes? So I'm placing their eyes. Oh, this is me without the symmetry tool. This is how I drew their eyes without the symmetry tool. Like starting. Sorry. No, this is my eyes with the symmetry tool. You can see it now. Yes. I place their eyes at the ends of their mouth, but you see how this person has a wider nose. So their eyes start before that. See that? This person has a smaller mouth, wide nostrils. Same thing here. You see all those things? So this is the starting of how far apart the eyes are. The next thing I'm going to want to touch on is about how big the eyes should be, or like where you're going to fit them, right? So each person's facial features are going to vary, right? But between this, you will have this eyebrow bone and the zygomatic bone, which is your cheekbone, kind of, right? I'm going to show you this. This is something that that really has helped my art improve. I think I'm going to talk about symmetry of eyes and everything a little bit more in depth, but I'm just going over, you know, big points. So the first point is how far apart your eyes are. Now, where are your eyes placed on the face? So they're gonna start all the time like around, you're gonna start around where the top of your ears are. That's kind of where you want to start. On my face, let's see, my eyes and my eyebrows line up. Let's see, sorry about that. Oh, kind of, right? My head is a little tilted in this, so that's also why the thing isn't as accurate. But yeah, the top of my lid lines up with my ear, and then where does it end? That depends on the face and the stylization that you use, right? But the thing to know where eye ends, I figured out, has to do with the cheekbones and the zygomatic bone. Oh, this is the zygomatic bone is the cheekbone, but also the eyebrow bone. So I'm going to show you that now. Usually I don't like to use anatomy terms or fancy stuff like that because I think it kind of detracts from like beginners learning. Like, it's a little bit more complicated to understand and you don't necessarily need it, but I do think that sometimes it can be very helpful. So in this case, it can be very helpful. You see how we have somebody's cheekbones, right? Cheekbones are like right here. The shape of a skull. If you look from the side, the shape of a skull is going to be kind of like, you have your circle, you have your, right, like this. Not exactly perfect or anything, right? Really scruffy. Really scruffy drawing. But let's put in the jaw now. Let's put in the jaw. Let's put in the ears. And what you're gonna have is like this line that shows the planes of the face. This front plane that goes through the middle of your face. So like where your nose is gonna be, your mouth, where it fall and everything. So on this side, it's much more apparent what I'm talking about because your eyes dip in by this eye socket. They come out for your brow bone and then they go back out for your cheekbone. Everybody's cheekbone varies. So some people have cheekbones that point out more and some people don't. But this is going to be this line that I've realized is really necessary to placing eyes and placing any facial features. It follows the side of the skull right here, your cheekbone, into your chin. All right? So right here, this is what I'm talking about. This is where your eyes go. If you're like, oh, click moment, or if you're not like, oh, I'm gonna show you on my face. I tried to do this illustration, right, where I drew my character and I basically placed her eyes within like that frame. It's a little bit off because cartoonization, and also I'm not always the most accurate in my art, but the point is that it's in an estimate area, right? And it still looks okay. So I'm gonna show you on my face now how I would do this, and then we're gonna get into doing some practice and some drawing with the 3/4 view, 3/4 view, and some more angles. So I want to show you here. Okay, let's see. This is my my cheekbone doesn't really poke out that much. I don't have that strong, like strong cheekbones, but you can see my brow bone here. You can see this space. Yeah, you see that space? So my eyes, will fit within this space. And now I might make my eyes a bit bigger in my cartoon style, but this is typically where they go. So you see where it starts? You see how it has, what's it called? You see how it lines up? In this version, because there's foreshortening and everything, with the eyes being away, it's not gonna look like that. It's gonna look like, it's not gonna be a straight line. It's gonna look like this instead. Because the face is curving, so it's actually gonna look like this. But you see, it's still aligned. So it's still aligned with those markers I showed you. And then if my ear was there, you would see my ear go somewhere right here. I don't really know what my ears look like, but I've been told I have tiny ears. Okay, now we're gonna get into symmetry and all of that stuff. I think I might go into a speed paint. All right. Didn't want to make this too long, but also wanted to have some time to talk about what I'm doing. So basically I used my face reference to place all the facial features. To improve your symmetry, I would say the best thing to do is estimate. Like, take the guidelines I talked about and then use those, like use the basic shape of an eye, like really loosely, whether you want to start off with a circle or with a like triangular-ish shape to note where the eye is and go from there. The way that I simplify drawing an eye allows me to place it in, it allows it to be sort of symmetrical. You don't really have to be extremely symmetrical when you're drawing an eye, and the main reasons for that is in real life, people's eyes aren't actually symmetrical. Just like how people, like in makeup, they talk about your eyebrows are sisters, not twins. That's the same thing for eyes. You know, nobody's face is actually really symmetrical. I tried out with these different angles to piece those guidelines that I put for myself in to draw eyes, and it was hard, but I think it looks a lot more accurate with the guidelines that I put. What I definitely need to do, I think, is practice drawing eyes at those different angles more, but other than that, I think I did a good job. For the 3/4 angle, I would say that there's something I think is going to come up later when I'm drawing, but basically you're going to see it from that drawing into the new one I do. You are not copying pasting an eye like in that same, like the same eye but like bigger or smaller or whatever, that thing that people would say back then. What you need to do is, a part of the eye is no longer visible, right? So imagine you just cut the eye where it's no longer visible, and you see that shape that I use. It's like the same shape as the first eye, except there's just this cut in it. Yeah. And that's because when you turn your face, a different part, like a part of your eye is no longer visible. So you want to be able to illustrate that. And I think in this first initial drawing, me trying to illustrate that wasn't very effective. In fact, a lot of the face was placed wrong, so I decided to redo it, and then you can see how the eyes, like how I changed the eyes from the first draft. I think that also a lot of getting better with eyes just takes practice, but I hope that some of these guidelines, like eye placement and stuff, I hope that helps, so that you're able to kind of get better at, like you're able to find out what you're struggling with and get better at it. Thank you so much for watching.